Okay, we can start.
So we call today's meeting to order for the West Perth Police Services Board at 9:06. Welcome everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your day to attend this. I guess first matter is to have a confirmation of today's agenda. Thank you, Walter. Seconded by Paul. And everyone in favor? Thank you. Does anyone have a disclosure for pecuniary interest? Sorry about that. No, looks to be fine. I don't believe we have any delegations today, so we can move on to confirmation of the adoption of the minutes from January 27th meeting. We have someone make a motion for that. Paul, seconder. John, thank you. Any discussion on it? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Is there any correspondence for today?
Steve?
Yes.
You need anything outstanding from the minutes?
Okay.
And that would include the, I believe, Inspector Cinco was going to find out about the credit.
That's right.
19, sorry.
Nope, that's all right.
So yes, good morning, everyone. I did have opportunity to reach out and to speak with Inspector Scott, and he had been in contact with municipal policing, and there will not be a credit per se with regards to the time that Donna was away from the office. And basically the reasoning for that is the work that was completed by our other detachment admin clerks to cover off that position. And I realized that there wasn't someone in that seat for the entire time, and it made it difficult, but there was no way of capturing hours scored within West Perth for that duration. So short answer is there would not be a credit shown for that time.
So that's because of outsourcing then?
That's correct, June. So basically the others here in Perth County would have taken over the work that came through the West Perth office. And I do understand that the doors weren't open the entire time. Again, not being here during that duration, but so yeah, it was very difficult to say that there would be any way to capture that. So the other DACs would have been doing that work in Donna's absence.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Also from that same meeting, we had item 8.5, which is about the information sharing protocol, and that's going to come up later in today's meeting. So we'll just defer that till a little later on today. And then also there was discussion about, in that same meeting, we discussed the need for training for John and I, and that was completed on February 18th, and there were several other people on that meeting, or on that call also. And I think that looks after the outstanding items from those minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So we can move along. And I believe we said there was no correspondence. So we could move on to the reports. If someone could do that for us, please.
Certainly. So I'll just start off this morning by sending regrets from Sergeant Scott Bentley. He unfortunately is not in today, a little bit under the weather. Not COVID related, I'm assured. So we don't have to worry about that. However, the one thing I did want to mention on that topic before we start into the reports is, and I don't believe this was announced at our prior meeting, but Scott Bentley has announced his intent to retire. It's been a little bit of a moving target, and I do apologize if I announced that previously, but we're looking at the beginning of May now for Scott to retire, and we're actively seeking another sergeant to fill that role. So we're trying to sort out who may be the best fit and how we were going to go about that. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Jason McTaggart, our acting staff sergeant, and he can work through the reports with you. And obviously I can jump in and answer any questions that might be outstanding as well.
Good morning, everyone. I thought I'd just briefly introduce myself to some of you who may not have met me in the past. I do see some of the familiar faces on here because I think I have spoken to the PSB on different things in the past. I was in charge of our traffic management program, and I was able to provide some data regarding that in the past. So again, my name is Jason McTaggart. I've been in Perth County since 2004, and I've got 26 years policing experience with the OPP. So during my time here, I did spend some time away with our highway safety division as a traffic sergeant, as well as at our regional headquarters for a year or two, supporting our regional needs there as well. So hopefully I'm able to deliver the report to the best of my ability here. So I'm kind of thrown in a bit of a hot seat, but please bear with me here. So we have the reports for January of this year as well as February. I can go over both reports with the board, or if there's any questions about January, I can just go over February, the most recent report update. Do we have any discussion on that?
I think everybody's had a chance to go through them. If there's no glaring questions or nothing that you want to point out, I think you can move along.
Okay.
Jason.
Sorry, June.
Sorry. Jason, can you tell me, on here is, and on the other one also, is COVID related calls. Is that somebody, what's that? Tell me, please.
So what I'll do is I'll go through the February report. Like I said, I didn't know if you wanted me to touch on January and February or just February being the most recent month, but any COVID related calls for service we've been capturing, such as businesses that were open when they weren't supposed to be, people that were through the public health, supposed to isolate or due to symptoms or travel or whatnot. So in order to capture all those calls, that's why we created the COVID piece, so that we could track a little bit and report back to our public health on some of the concerns and calls for service that we were getting from them. So it's just an added piece there, June, that just allowed us to bit of a better snapshot on what calls for service we were getting that were directly related to the COVID pandemic.
If I could just add to that also, it could be as simple as, somebody's got company over at their house, neighbors are concerned, because that is occurring, maybe not necessarily in West Perth, but I know across Perth and Huron, that has been a lot of our calls for service as well, because people are concerned, right? They have large gatherings. We've had calls to churches. We've had the whole gamut. So it's kind of an umbrella to gauge how many calls for service might be related to a COVID incident. And I've seen where we've had calls for service come in as a medical call, and then there is concern that the individual may be COVID positive or have symptoms, and it can get captured that way as well. So not that the numbers are high for the month, but over the course of the last year, we've seen fluctuations in those numbers. So just a little bit of information behind that.
Great. Thanks, Dave. So I'll just touch base on the report for February. So as you can tell, our calls to service have gone up a little bit over the last three. And there has been Metro West Perth has had a few significant calls for service, which I will touch on here briefly. But regarding public complaints, we haven't had any. And if you go down to our DAR hours, so cruiser patrol hours are 245, foot patrols at 22, School hours are slowly coming up. They're at 15, but as you know, the school is just getting up and going again. The students are back, so I anticipate those numbers will climb in the coming months, as long as we continue to stay open and that third wave doesn't hit us and put us back into a lockdown again. Focus patrol hours are at 15. Community mobilization hours at 6.75. Ride program at 33. Our auxiliary unit is presently back up and running, but we haven't had any hours from our members yet. Basically, our auxiliary unit has been given the okay to ride with our members, but again, it's up to our members whether they choose to have another member in the vehicle with them. So with a lot of our community events being canceled, the need to use our auxiliary unit members hasn't been as high as it has in the past. And then the COVID related calls were at 3, and I believe Dave touched on what those are for. So moving along here, media releases, we've had 19 in total and 8 for West Perth. As you know, we had that fire investigation that resulted in a attempt murder charge being laid. We also had sexual canine track and a mental health incident resulting in a road closed, which was St. David Street, I believe, where we had the apartments damaged there as well. Collisions. Our collisions are down overall, just because the majority of people are either working from home or their jobs have been temporarily suspended. So our personal injury collisions still remain relatively consistent, but our actually property damage calls for service are down. Impaired driving, we've had 2, one being a 35-year-old person from South Huron and a 21-year-old from Perth East. So again, we're still very actively conducting our traffic enforcement, hence the reason we were able to take 2 of those people off the road that could have jeopardized our safety of our people in West Perth. Crime Stoppers, 4 tips were received for the month of February, 2 relating to drugs and 2 of them that were intelligence related. Continuous learning, block training obviously continues to carry on. We are returning to a normal routine per se for us anyways. We're able to social distance and get our members continuing to train on our annual training that is required of us. So we're continuing through that. We've had 2 IC training. So just to elaborate on that, it's on every shift we have a senior member that maybe is looking for a further promotion to sergeant and whatnot, that when the sergeant isn't working, they're the ones that will be running the platoon and overseeing the day-to-day activities of that platoon. So in order to better prepare them for their leadership responsibilities, we offered a 2 IC training, which just provided those members with additional training to prepare any circumstances that may arise to them that the sergeant would normally deal with that they now are responsible for. So it just gives them a better ability to lead. So that was something new. Our e-ticket program continues to trudge ahead. We've had several members here trained on the e-ticket process. So that just involves a swipe card of the driver's license in the vehicle now. And then an electronic ticket is issued to the offender. And then we download the tickets electronically to our POA office. So that seems to speed the process a lot for our members and to make it more efficient from our end. We have a forensic mechanic here as well, who assists in the inspections of vehicles that are related in serious motor vehicle collisions. That member as well will be going for additional training as a technical traffic collision investigator coming up in the month of May. So again, we are doing our best to provide our members with the training that we deem essential here in Perth County so that they can provide us a higher level of service to our municipalities as well as our support our membership as well. And PLT stands for Provincial Liaison. And we have I believe we have 2 members here. One's away on mat leave, but the one member continues to support our needs within the region. Regarding going down to our school officer, only had one minor call for service, the Mitchell District High School, which was good. But again, COVID has really put an impact on her ability to get into the schools, but she's continuing to move forward and making those relationships with the school and staff. Mobilization, as you know, Bill DeConing is our regional mobilization officer here in Perth County. He's doing a great job with our mental health. We had 6 calls for service involving mental health, and as you know, we have the MCERT worker as well riding with Bill. They're here 2 days a week, and we actually have 3 right now that are supporting us here in Perth County. And those MCERT workers are, you know, proved to be invaluable for the resources that they provide and assisting us in getting the proper help to these people that are suffering for the mental health crisis. So right now we have 3. Funding for 3 is going to be evaluated in the coming months, but we're hopeful that we will see a value in those workers and they continue to move forward, and maybe we can get them here even more. So that's our goal, is to get them here as often as we can. So focus patrol, we did have a focus patrol regarding snow machines. I know our season was kind of short, but we did have a lot of snowmobiles on the trails, and we did set up focus patrol to make sure that everybody was abiding by the rules of the trails, as well as having the necessary documentation required of them. A lot of times, a lot of work goes into establishing these trails by the local service clubs, and then they don't see any sort of results from that. So by setting focus patrol, we were able to, again, educate the riders on the trails that if you're going to use the trails, please purchase a pass. And second of all, to abide by the rules that are required by them. Again, moving down to the noteworthy occurrences, we did have that fire that West Perth attended, and as well as the Ontario Fire Marshal's office attended. And as a result, an individual was charged with attempt murder. So a lot of resources were in play for that one. A lot of man hours included in that. So that was a very excellent investigation by our part, and I give kudos to our crime unit, as well as the additional resources we did utilize to assist us in making that investigation as important as it was. We also had—
If I could just interject there, Jason, on that one. Obviously, a high-profile occurrence, and I want to just extend my thanks to the fire department, not only for this one, but for just the next bullet point there as well. Both calls for service in close relation to the fire hall. I know that the fire itself, they did a great job in knocking that down and preventing any spread to the further units there. When it comes to our members, great work done by our members on the ground. I know Jason and I were there shortly afterwards to oversee it as incident command, and our members had the individual, without going into too much detail, obviously with the matter still ongoing, but our officers had the individual in custody. I would say the term immediate or immediately thereafter. So the risk to others was ended within minutes. So it was just a matter of going back and putting the pieces back together to come up with that result of the attempt murder charge. So I know there'll be more information released as it comes out through the media and the court process, but for now, I just wanted to touch base on that and make sure everybody was aware of how quickly that came to an end. So anyways, Jason, I'll turn that back over to you. I just wanted to touch base on that one.
Okay, thanks, Dave. The second bullet point of noteworthy incidents was the disturbance on 180 Wellington. We had a resident in the building going through a crisis, and through the work of our members, again, our ERT team as well as our canine team, we were able to isolate the building, ensure that the residents inside were safe, and that came to a successful conclusion as well. We were there for most of the day, but again, due to all our resources in play, everybody was safe. There was no injuries or any significant issues to anybody in residents, other residents in the building. So again, that was a very successful incident as well. And then we also had our K9 unit again once engaged, as well as our ERD team regarding an individual that was lurking around, for a better word, for within the town of Mitchell, as well as the municipality, going to random houses, banging on doors, doing random mischief. And again, we were able to apprehend that individual and deal with them accordingly. So it was a bit of a busy month for February in Mitchell in West Perth, but we, like I said, Dave said there, we all worked together on this and used our community partners to succeed in our investigations there. Trends, again, violent crime was up in West Perth for February. We're not sure exactly. It's showing that we had 8 incidents which are higher than the 5-year average, which is normally 2. Trends showing that it may increase for April, but we won't know until that actually happens. Just moving ahead to detachment pressures. I do have some good news on this. We are receiving 7 personnel for being recruits between now and June. We have 2 experienced police officers that joined us, one from Waterloo Region and one from Peel. They starting this week. We have a lateral transfer from the Sunny North of Sioux Lookout. I'm not sure if anybody knows what that is outside the map, at the very top. He's actually relocating to West Perth. It's not from the area, but has been down the area numerous times and has fallen in love with West Perth. So he will be relocating to West Perth, and we anticipate his arrival in mid-April. And then we are getting 4 brand new recruits starting sometime in June. OPC was closed down for a little bit there due to a COVID outbreak, but I believe that's under control now. And but I haven't heard to say that those recruits are back in class yet, but I know they were doing some remote learning. So again, we have 7 people coming to support us here in Perth County, and we are very excited about that, as well as what the future holds for us as well. We have a lot of people that are interested in coming here moving forward. So the more the merrier, in my words, and is to support all of our pressures that we have been seeing in the past, but there is a bit of a bright light at the end of the tunnel. So saying that, again, we just keep trying to message out to our public to please lock your vehicles when you're not in them. It's just such an easy thing to do, but for a lot of times it just kind of slips your mind. And the Lock It Lose It program is year round, and that's such a easy thing to do to prevent the thefts that are happening. But again, we continue to message out to people in the municipality. I did touch on the motor vehicle collisions. We are down quite a bit from this time last year, but again, COVID has a piece of that as well. So I'd like to think that our people are having a little bit of an impact on that, because we are still conducting our traffic stops, still doing our rear enforcement, and still analyzing our data regarding traffic flow and where we need to be at right times. So we'll see where that goes in the coming months. The ICON data for 2021 Perth County. I can go to the weighted hours, which will be the very last page there at the very bottom. So you can see the weighted hours from 2020 to 2021. In February of 2020, there were 79 hours, and in February, 102. And then for 2020, your date was 165 versus 188 for 21. So the total works out to 717.3 for 2020 for West Perth, and then we're up to 888.7 for West Perth year to date. And again, a lot of those hours can be traced back to those major occurrences that we did have in West Perth, that we did utilize a lot of resources, and a lot of time was put into those investigations to make sure that they were complete and fulsome. So is there any questions on any of those hours as per that report?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. Acting Inspector, is there anything that you wanted to add to the report?
Maybe just a couple of highlights, and not necessarily just within West Perth, but just for everyone's awareness, we do have a new Chief Superintendent for West Region. Chief Superintendent Tibb has joined us just within the last couple of weeks. Dwight Tibb, and he's looking forward to getting out and meeting the board. So you may see some information coming from his desk. He's asked for PSB chair information across the region. So he may just send out some introductory information and maybe join us in one of these meetings in the future for a few moments. So we'll see how that goes out. Caledonia has been, our presence in Caledonia has been scaled back, actually to the point where they're just have an operations center running at this point, but we're not actively sending members to the area. So hopefully we can maintain that. I know it was a draw across the region, and we did have to reach outside of West Region to fill those positions. But that's a good sign that we're no longer required in that capacity. So I know Jason spoke about e-ticketing. It's something that's rolling out. I've had a chance to speak with the members on the front line. Now we'll take out a lot of issues when it comes to the paperwork side of things. Obviously, the electronic version of the ticket gets filed with the POA office. We don't have issues in tickets sitting in someone's notebook, not getting submitted on time. Those occasionally did occur. But the system is very, in the terms of the officers, it's very slick. You get the information right off the individual's driver's license through GPS. It collects data as to the location. And then the offenses, you can fill that in automatically with a drop down. And the thing I wasn't aware of, but there's some standardized wording templates as well. So if it's a speeding charge, you know all the information that you need to capture, and that automatically gets included there electronically as well. So kind of a neat feature. I just wanted to bring that up. And then the one thing Jason had mentioned was focus patrols about snow machines. Yeah, we had that quick turnaround and we lost all our snow. But our members did some good job working on that. One of the major complaints was trespassing as well. Snow machines cutting across where they're not supposed to be. So we spent some time educating people about that. Just so, we don't want to upset the individuals that give the right to use their land and have them no longer have that access via the trails. So, and the only other thing I just wanted to mention with regards to Focus Patrol, I know most recently we've just received some complaints with regards to the new bridge on Henry Street and the traffic flow there and the speed. So I have asked Jason to put together a Focus Patrol for that, and we'll probably see some more enforcement in that area, just to kind of educate the public that it's not a racetrack. But I was on it yesterday. It's a beautiful addition to West Perth, and I know it'll get used quite frequently. So we'll have a focus on there. And by all means, if you do receive any complaints with regards to that, please let us know. But we'll be having some focus there in the next few days. So pending any questions, I think, Jason, thanks for the report, and we'll move forward with the meeting.
Okay, thanks very much. So I guess we'll move on to 7.4 for the board secretary to give a report on the protocol for information sharing.
Mr. Chair, you need a motion.
You're right. I'm sorry, June.
No,
Thanks very
no
much.
problem.
Yeah, so do we have a motion to accept those reports? Paul and June, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, now we can have that report, please.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. Just give me a moment here to pull up my report. As you are all aware, you had discussion at the last Police Services Board meeting regarding protocol for information sharing with Police Services Board. I did do some research. Some had just been recently done amongst the zone as well. And within the report, I provided the two kind of primary options that people are using. So the one is that what I just called condensed. So it's kind of that simple, covers everything required version that many municipalities use. It's very similar to the one brought forward by June last meeting. And then the protocol, the expanded one, is the recently adopted one by South Huron Police Services Board. So that one kind of, yes?
That second one, is it not policy and procedures more than the protocol?
So that's really a combination. So it satisfies both. So, you know, it would be more of a terms of reference, or policy and procedure is exactly what it is. And then built into that also includes the information sharing protocol. So instead of having what appears to be, instead of having two separate policies, they've just condensed it into one. And then they've included in the separate schedules, the code of conduct, etc.
I think perhaps that second one is not appropriate at this time. It wasn't requested by Walter. Walter requested the protocol. So the policy and procedures is a big thing, and we should perhaps have known that's what was going to happen, because it changes some things. The other thing is there's a couple of errors on it, Carla, that really do need to be corrected. Just my opinion.
Yeah, and I apologize through you, Chair, that I was told to look at the different options and what other people are using. So if I only brought the one, it would be, this is the one everyone's using. And so I was showing kind of a variation of options and a more, you know, the one that a lot of people are using, the condensed, it does cover absolutely everything. And we are currently, the board is currently satisfying that information sharing protocol with West Perth Council. The other one just, it is more comprehensive and something that maybe terms of reference, policies and procedures that could be updated are being updated. So it's just showing a 2019 versus a one that was used in 2005. But as indicated in my report, they're both widely used. Staff would recommend either one, but it's up to the board if further work wants to be done.
Yeah, thanks, Carla. Those are two good options, and I'm sure they are both being widely used, and we just have to decide which one we want to go to. The terms of reference,
Mr.
kind of
Chair,
a separate thing to me. I would myself, I think they're both good options. So what does everyone else think?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the only concern I have with doing a policy and procedures at this point, we know that the board's going to change probably by the end of the year. Have you guys heard anything about what's happening with the one board, one detachment? Jason or David?
So June and Mr. Chair, that has come to light through messaging that's gone out to the police services boards in the letter. I don't know if you've received it. I didn't see it attached to the minutes here, or the agenda, I should say. But there's indication that by 2022, they're looking to move towards that single detachment board, is kind of what they're calling it. I don't have any further information beyond that. We actually received that letter from North Perth, sending that down for their last meeting, just indicating what they had received. We have had no direction further than that, that this is kind of the time frame that they're looking at. So I think everybody's aware of what it entails. It would be obviously one board represented for Perth County, and then the makeup from the individual lower tiers. How that is going to look as a whole, unfortunately, I can't tell you. We're still waiting for information on our side as well.
David, so you think it'll be Perth County and not Perth Huron?
At this point, June, everything indicates to me that it would be Perth County alone. I haven't seen any discussion, and like I said, all I've seen is that letter that came out with the date of, and it doesn't even really give a date. It says 2022. So, does that mean January? Does that mean December?
Yeah. And North Perth has this letter?
They do. Yes, they do.
And Steve, you haven't received anything?
No. I have not.
Okay. I'll see. Unfortunately, with the setup here, with the way we are with the live stream, I can't access my second screen to capture that to send it, but I'll send it through after the meeting, and then you can take a look at that.
Send it to Steve, maybe.
Sure, that's,
And if North Perth has some information, Steve, we might need to find out where they got it from, because we should have it the same time they do.
that's correct.
But if we're going to one detachment, one board, why would we change policy and procedure at this point and then a couple of months down the road have to do it again? Because it will include North Perth, West Perth, and East Perth, right? It'll have to be redone.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what the makeup and how that makeup will look, given Perth County. And then, of course, we're looking at Stratford, Perth South, St. Mary's. And how does that make up, how is that realized? We don't have those answers as of yet either.
And we've been waiting for 2 years for this information. So it's not, it's just delayed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good points. We should still select draft A or draft B as our protocol for sharing of information to get us to that point at least. John, do you have anything to, I'm sorry, Walter, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to ask Carla. So I'm not sure how many municipalities she did the research on, but it sounds like the first option is the one that is the most common, and South Huron has gone into a little bit more detail. Whether it's connected to losing an OPP station or not, that they had to document everything, I'm not sure. But I personally, I like things short and sweet, but it's up to the rest of the board the amount of detail that we want. But certainly the first option addresses, I think, what our main concern was, I guess, or what we were trying to achieve. But I'm open for whatever the rest of the board thinks here.
Sure.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
I would move to accept the first option. One, because it's what Walter requested. And secondly, it is quite simple. We do have a policy and procedures in place. We know we're going to have to change it. So that would be my motion.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that? John? All right, thank you. Is there any other discussion on this before we put it to the vote? Looks okay. All right, all those in favor? Opposed? None, so carried. Thank you. I think that's a good way to do that. Would you like me to read the recommendation? I'll just blurb through it. That the West Perth Police Services Board approve option A as the protocol for the sharing of information between the Municipality West Perth and the West Perth Police Services Board to ensure compliance with the adequacy and effectiveness regulation. And that the Police Services Board authorize and direct the Secretary of the Board to forward the protocol for sharing information to the Council of Municipality West Perth for approval by resolution of council in accordance with the provision of S 220.1 Municipal Act RSO 1990 as amended, and the protocol for sharing of information come into force on the date of approval by council of the Municipality of West Perth. Okay. Other business? Oh, I'm sorry, the financial report. Did everyone have a look at the financial report? And are there any items that need to be addressed or questions about? Not hearing much. Think we're okay on the financial report. Could we have a motion to accept the financial report, please? Thank you, Walter. Anyone to second that? John, thank you. Any questions or conversation on it? Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Other business. Does anyone have anything to bring up under other business? Yes, Walter.
Just, I guess, a little bit of reassurance, maybe proceeding further here. And not sure if it was at the last meeting, the meeting before when we went through the budget. But anyways, one of the recommendations was that we recommend to the municipality that they purchase another speed sign, similar to the one that was at the west end of Mitchell. And I know at that time the feeling was that this is something that is probably very worthwhile. It may be hard to see the benefits of it, but I do feel there are benefits there. And I guess it has got this far, and as most of you are aware, tonight is a budget meeting, and I guess all I'm looking for is police services feel that this is still a very worthy item to try and keep in our municipal budget. So I just throw it open for comments as much as anything, and I guess it'll be up to Steve and I to see where it goes from here for tonight.
Yes, Paul, go ahead.
Thank you, Walter, for bringing that forward. Without a doubt, I just want to, go on record as saying as a member of Police Services Board, I certainly feel that these type of speed signs are very valuable. I was charged initially with going out and finding information about the signs back, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, I think. Maybe it's not quite that long ago. Time goes fast, but maybe it's 5. And at that point, I think we felt that there was good results from having that sign downtown at that point. And unfortunately, money, I believe, was not found within the budget at that point to be able to purchase a sign. And now we've had success in having one sign. And as you said, it's a difficult thing to quantify, no different than putting a billboard on the side of the 401, difficult to quantify from an advertising perspective. But I would definitely believe that you only have to sit around one of those signs to be able to see people use their taillights come on and things like that. So thank you again, Walt, for bringing it forward. As a member of the board, I certainly would encourage you to do all you can to find it within the municipal budget to purchase a second one. Thank you.
I'm looking at my OPP colleagues here. Do you have any stats or any input? As a layperson, I've certainly seen the impacts of having that sign there, and if you're, when Mitchell Feed Mill was there, if you were there, it was certainly a continuous flow of brake lights coming on when they approached that sign. So, from that point of view, that it's having an impact, that obviously people are going faster and it just reminds them to slow down. And that was a problem area for a number of years. And I think it certainly has helped. And we have a few other problem areas. And I realize we can't necessarily put it back at, on a county road that isn't our jurisdiction. But do you have any input at all? either one of you two gentlemen.
Yeah, Your Worship, I would suggest that there is a great benefit to those signs. My travels every day into Huron County from my home in Mitchell and returning to that sign, that's the first thing that you notice, right? You may not, it just seems like speed signs and speed zones after a while. And I'm talking about people that reside. I've lived in Mitchell going 6 years now. You kind of put those out of your mind. But when you have that active reminder, like Paul said, steady stream of brake lights coming on, that shows its effect. There's definitely a benefit to it. It brings it back home where the individual and the driver realizes, you know what, I'm going too fast for this location. Do we have any stats to support that? I can't say I have anything with me right now or anything definite that would say, it's effectiveness. However, I think we've displayed that through our conversation today, that the simple activation of brakes when they're entering a zone shows that it is effective. I know these signs are used in various municipalities. Many of them have mobile signs that they can place in different locations pending, we have complaints in that area, increased traffic flow. Sometimes we have roads that are closed, so people are utilizing a bypass, and then that sign can be erected there as well. So I'm in support of them. I definitely, like I said, I don't have a statistic to provide to you today with a percentage or a reduction in collision or anything of the such, but I would suggest that the brake lights alone are an indication that those signs are effective.
Yes, June.
I agree with Paul and David that I think it's beneficial to our community, to the safety of the people in our community, to have another one, and would really appreciate Steve, you and Walter going to bat for the board in encouraging the purchase of another one, if that's possible.
Okay. Yep. John, anything more on that?
Well, I know that was in Broadhagen for a while, and I was going through and holy smokes, you better slow down. So yes, they are effective.
Yeah.
I know that person.
Yeah, even if the brake lights are only getting people from 80 to 70 and not 80 to 60, it still is having an effect, and that's what it's supposed to do. Paul?
Sorry, I just wanted to correct one of the things that I had mentioned. I just went back in my email. So the first that we discussed this, we had a test sign in downtown Mitchell in July of 2017. So we have had it on some discussion about it for a number of years. I thought it was 5 or 6. It'll be 4 this summer. Thank you.
If I could just add, obviously with troubled locations where this sign gets erected, obviously our enforcement and through focus patrol, that goes a long way as well. We have those traffic stops and speak to individuals, and we can say, did you just not see the sign flashing up the road 20 yards behind you saying, you're doing 80 or your speeds is too fast for the zone. And that really hits home as well. You'll see a great benefit to that, and just even parking the cruiser at that location. And many times I know when I worked on the road, I'd put my cruiser just beyond a speed sign, be it electronic or not. And then, running a handheld radar, and you make eye contact with that driver, there's no doubt, you know what, I'm in a 50 zone now, or I'm in a 60 zone. And when you pull them over, they have nothing to say, but you know what? Absolutely, you got me. And sometimes it's just that education alone, without necessarily a ticket in hand, that individual has come to realize that, you know what, I got to slow down. We've got kids here, we've got families. It may be a business area where we've got trucks pulling out, but nonetheless, they need to obey. The speeds are there for a reason, right? The speed zones. So anyways, I think in combination with enforcement, these signs are very, very effective. So just my added comments to that.
No, I appreciate that. and Thanks for the comments. Yeah, it's up to Steve and I now to take it from here.
We'll take those notes with us and sell it as best we can tonight. Is there anything else under other business? Staff Sergeant McTaggart?
Yeah, no, I just thought I'd chime in real quick just to echo Acting Inspector Cinco's comments. Like I said, I was in charge of the traffic management program here in Perth County for a number of years, and I encourage the sharing of data. A lot of those speed signs will have a data logger built in that can track the time, date, and the speed of the vehicle. And I just encourage that that information is shared with us so that we can perform a proper study on it to determine whether there's needed enforcement in that area or whether it's just perceived. And right now, just to give the board's awareness, we are doing a traffic study on line 20. As you know, the summer is fast approaching, and we want to make line 20 their access to Grand Bend as safe as possible. So working with our community partners, be it Huron County as well as Stratford Police, we're going to do our very best to ensure that line 20 becomes as safe as possible for our traveling motorists outside of our areas. And we did do quite a study with MTO and Rustadale as well, the line 164 and line 20. So we continue to work on those things. And like I said, the sharing information is so crucial to ensure the proper enforcement and getting our members where they need to be at the right times. Thank you.
Good.
I think if I may, I might just say that, so if that consideration comes down where the option is to have a sign that has that ability to collect the data, that would be, if there's a bit of an added cost, but there would be definitely an added benefit. So if you're comparing, apples to apples, if you were to get the model that allows that, that would definitely be the preferred one for us as well.
Okay.
OPP have any grants available for these signs?
I haven't seen one recently, but we could definitely delve into that and take a look if there's any. I wish there was, the availability where we could get them across the board, but.
Yeah, well, driving around, I believe I think there's at least two in Stratford now. And, certainly the village of Embro, you go through there and they've had one for a number of years, and it's the same impact. Like you can just see everybody slowing up when you go through there. There's one when you're coming into Brucefield as well, and it's a little different design. But if you're going a certain speed, it gives you your speed that you're going too fast. But if you're going faster than that, it's like a strobe light that goes off and it really grabs your attention,
Yeah, one of the things with those signs and the unfortunate downfall is if it records or presents your speed in excess of a certain, say you're 20 kilometers over the limit, then unfortunately there's the small amount of people out there that would want to say, hey, I want to see how fast I can get this thing to go. So obviously we don't want that to be
No.
The cause of people coming into town at 140 as opposed to coming into the 50 zone where they should be. So I think that's where they kind of limit what you get as a reading, and then obviously it says too fast, or you get that strobe light to catch the individual's eye. So there's all kinds of models out there.
Well, thanks for your input.
Okay. Anything else in other business other than the speed sign conversation? Seeing nothing. We have nothing for closed session today. Our next scheduled meeting will be on May 26th. Same time, same station. Before we look for adjournment, is there anything else that needs to be addressed today? Seeing nothing. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn today's meeting? Paul, thank you. Anyone for a second on that? Take John for that. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone.
Yep, we'll see you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.